if you had to remake The Heat, right? And you can only pick one, Sandra Bullock or Melissa McCarthy. Who do you pick, and who do you replace the other person with?
Oh, you're a monster. Why would you possibly ask me this?
Las Vegas, I am headed to Resorts World Theater September 27th and 28th. 2 shows only. Go to BertCast.com for tickets. Fantastic movie. Congratulations. I just watched it.
Oh, did you like it? Oh,
yeah,
thanks.
I watched it last night, and it's fucking awesome. Sidebar, my daughter has a crush on John Cena, and I love, and they love, but I love Awkwafina.
Yeah, the best.
I love her. She's just the sweetest person.
Yeah.
We took the girls to go see, I think, what was it, Ocean's?
Oh, Ocean's 8.
Female Oceans.
Yeah.
And my daughter's all identified with her. We're having dinner with them tonight. Our best friends are Asian, and their littlest daughter, Lou, is like an Awkwafina. Oh. And it is Awkwafina, top to bottom. And so they're in love with Awkwafina. But she reached out. I should say her real name, but
Nora. I always call her Nora. It gets confusing in an interview.
But I was trying to explain to these young boys how much things have changed.
Yeah.
And how much, like when the idea of making a short film in 1997 was a huge investment with very little payoff.
Yeah. And mine was a feature.
You made a feature for $35,000?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I wrote it because I was a actor. I was on this thing called Sabrina the Teenage Witch, the first season, and so I had a little bit of money banked, like $30,000.
You were a comic at first, right?
Yeah, stand up. Yeah, and out of Detroit, and then moved and did West Coast.
Castle.
Mark
Ridley.
Oh yeah, the whole thing. I used to do a place called the Delta Lady, which was on Woodward. Right around Woodward and like 10 Mile, I think. It was an old biker bar.
Really?
And I was 15 years old. My parents had to bring me and so I could get into this bar.
So I want people to hear this because no one's going to understand this. I think you very intimately understand this. Today, a lot of people become stand-up comedians.
Yeah.
When you decided to become a comedian, maybe 100 people in the United States decided to become stand-up comedians.
Yeah. And the only reason was, I don't know if you remember this show called Make Me Laugh.
Of course.
Yeah, exactly. Honestly, that's really what started the whole stand-up comedy club scene.
Yeah.
Because there weren't open mics and all that stuff like what happened once that came on. But that was the thing. I was always a big Steve Martin fan and George Carlin and all that. Yeah. But then seeing that show, and then Mike Binder was one of the regular comics on there. He was a Detroit guy. So it's like, wait a minute, he's on TV and he's from Detroit, where I'm from.
Pull up Binder's he made one of our favorite movies in college.
Oh yeah.
What was the one where the kids run from Canada? Midnight.
Yeah, well, oh god, I know.
Midnight Moonlight or something.
Yeah, well, he really had a
Mike Binder's a sweet guy. He's one of my favorite people.
Yeah,
and he's back in stand-up now.
Oh, he was one of the funniest comics. I mean, we just would go crazy when he would perform.
What was the name of that? Freaking, he did Blank Man. By the way, Blank Man was fucking hysterical.
No, he was directing a lot for a while there. It was really cool. But no, when I was doing it there, it was also Tim Allen was there. Tom Sharp. So it was a lot of.
I've met Tim Allen. I'm by the way, anything you say in here can be totally taken out. I met Tim Allen, and I can't imagine Tim Allen would be an easy hang for a guy like you.
I didn't get to hang with him much. He would kind of come in and out of the dressing room. So I was like, but he was already kind of on this track to be like a big shot.
But what's interesting about you is and I apologize for cutting you off, but that's what I do.
Please.
I got told by someone the other day, doing your podcast is like getting a TED Talk. But what's interesting about you is you are part of what is considered the alt scene of filmmaking, of comedy, and Tim Allen is that old school catchphrase, Carsey Warner.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but I mean, honestly, when I was doing it, it was really about that. The alternative comedy scene didn't really come in until I kind of already was getting out of comedy, because I only did stand up professionally from 85 to 90.
Yeah.
And I just started, the whole thing was I was working my way, as we all did, towards being a headliner. And when I finally became a headliner, I didn't enjoy it because I realized I kind of liked the camaraderie of the guys in the back, your fellow comedians watching. And so when you're an opener or a middle, they're like, oh my God, they're so great. headliner, you come off and like, where's everybody? They're going, oh, they went to eat or they went to bed. You're like, so where's everybody going to give me my accolades? And it didn't happen. So so I didn't want to be one of those bitter comics. And I worked with so many of those guys, these road warriors, and you're like, oh, they hate it and they're mean to the audience. I'm like, I cannot. If the minute my joy goes out of it, I'm getting out of it.
Yeah, there's a lot of bitterness in comedy. I think there's a lot of bitterness in the world.
Yeah,
I think, but we just intimately in a comedy that in a profession whose art form is joy.
Yeah,
to see the bitterness is so. It's such a juxtaposition that you're like, well, what part of you, and why aren't I seeing this on stage? And then why is this fake?
Yeah. Well, it was the guys that got hostile to the audience. That's what I just had no patience for. And to watch these guys, you've seen them a million times. You're just like, God damn, man. My favorite thing is that whole like, oh, they didn't get it, and they throw their hand over their head, past their head. I'm like, no, it hit right here, and they didn't think it was funny, so don't blame them.
Yeah.
And that's, but when I make movies, honestly, being a stand-up is changed. All I do is work my movies like I did my stand-up act, because we do a bunch of test screenings. I start doing it when it's just put together and I still have time to do my director's cut, put it up, go like, that joke didn't work, that did, and then keep switching them out and all that, just like a stand-up act.
It's I have a lot of questions about filmmaking.
Yeah.
I am very impressed. I didn't care about it. I loved good movies. I mean, I saw Bridesmaids in the theater.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
nice.
I saw Bridesmaids in the theater. And man, there's something really beautiful about first of all, there's something very beautiful about Melissa McCarthy. She's fucking, she's so gold.
Funny.
But
she's so funny.
I mean, I would argue, and I'm talking shit, but you really knew how she was like a muse to you. It seemed like.
Yeah, I mean, we did 4 movies together right in a row. Yeah.
And you really knew how to get the stuff out of her.
Yeah,
that it doesn't seem, when she acts, it doesn't seem forced. It seems like such a big chance. It seems like, the hardest she ever made me laugh. I mean, that woman's made me laugh so much, so much.
Yeah,
but yeah, you seem to have a real vibe with her.
Well, it's when you finding somebody with the exact same sense of humor as you have is kind of tough. You can find people who you kind of have a little in common with, but when you have somebody, we both are horrified by the same things. We both go, that's too much. We go, that could go further. And so that just makes it really fun and easy. And then we can just push each other, which I love to do.
Yeah. So go back to 1997.
Yeah.
$35,000.
Yeah. Yeah. And honestly, again, it could have been done on an iPhone. It would look 1,000 times better, shot in HD. Because this is back in the days when you had to get film, and I did it on 16 millimeter, but it was all short ends, which, for those in the audience don't know, basically when you used to shoot film, you'd shoot a bunch, and then when you get towards the end of the roll, you didn't have enough to do another big take, so they would cut it off, and then they would sell that leftover film back to the film companies. So you get like 100 feet or 200. So you get like 2 minutes of film or a minute and a half of film, and you could get those cheaper. So this was all that. So you'd be doing takes and like, okay, I'd had certain things like, okay, you got 30 seconds. So get ready, turn the camera on, go, say your line. Okay, we're done. So that kind of thing. And then put it together. But all the money went into film and processing. Because because what I wanted to make this movie, I had just done Sabrina the Teenage Witch, had a little bank of cash, and said, I got to do this. So I wrote a movie, the cheapest movie of all time. It's 4 people who meet in a field in one day, waiting for a UFO to come and take them away. They think this UFO is coming. So, one location, all outside, one costume for everybody, and that was it. And then I composed the music myself. So it should have, it should have cost nothing. But the problem is, the year I made it was the first year that people started doing a lot of their own independent films. And so when I submitted to Sundance, they had 1,400 films that got submitted to them that year.
Really?
So there's just no chance. And I just couldn't get it in any film festivals. And I lost a lot of money on that because Sabrina the Teenage Witch, after I finished, called me up and said, we're not going to bring you back to the show. It's I just bankrupted the family. This is awesome.
So wait, at that time, I think you're 10 years older than me, or I think.
I'm 61.
I'm 51.
Nice.
And so what would you tell yourself when you were 51? If you could look back at your 51 self and you write yourself a note, what would you tell him?
Don't freak out about getting older, because When you're 10 years older, you'll look back and go like, fuck you for thinking you were old at 51.
You look good at 61. You
Thank
look
you,
really good.
Thank you. I try to hold
you clean up really nice.
Thank you so much.
I almost wore a suit today, but I was like, I'm not going to. I was like, I would be sweating in here. I'm so uncomfortable in a suit.
I credit the martinis.
So in 1997, did you have kids yet?
No, I still don't have kids. Yeah, married.
Still don't have kids.
No, we avoided all that. I'm a childless cat lady.
Wow, how great.
Yeah.
Oh, you must have so much money.
Well, I spent it on other stuff that I shouldn't spend it on, sadly. You'd think he'd be more discdisciplined, but that's only worse. Because
I never really look at I never really look at price tags much.
Right.
You know, I just go like, if I, if I don't buy expensive stuff, I do buy some expensive stuff.
Yeah.
But like with sunglasses, I just go, I know what kind I like. Yeah. And they came out with this new sunglass. I don't have it up here. It is a Asian cut Ray-Ban.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It's
wow.
So Ray-Ban, this is, you don't have to be a part of this conversation. It's such a weird conversation to have.
I like it.
But sunglasses, they make a different cut for Asian people, and I happen to like that cut better.
Oh, is it more sleek? Or?
No, it's you can Google this. I know this is going to sound like an alt-right fucking mounting soapbox I'm on. But Asian people, the bridge of their nose is different, so they have a hard time. Certain sunglass brands won't stay on their face.
Oh, okay.
So that sounds horrible when I say it, but that is accurate. It is. You can Google it. Just fucking Google it real quick. Type in Asian sunglasses.
Really. It's genetic. We're going to give you a pass on
so I don't sound like a fucking lunatic. So they make boyfriend glasses and Ray-Ban. Ray-Ban also makes boyfriend glasses version 2, Asian cut.
Oh, really?
And it's a better looking sunglass in my opinion.
Look that up.
Yeah, and so I just bought a pair because we're going to Hawaii.
Nice.
And Lowbridge. And so there we go. The boyfriend 2 is a sleeker cut. Nice. And it doesn't slide off your face.
Really?
When you get sweaty, it stays on your face.
Yep.
And so, but I looked at the price for the first time today, and I felt really weird spending $218 on a pair of sunglasses.
Right.
And I was like, that seems like a lot.
But if they last you, my theory is like if you buy more expensive stuff, you don't lose it because you're always like, oh God, I paid so much money for this stuff. Like pens. I love pens.
Okay, let's talk about pens.
Yeah.
Now, I'm a writer. Like I love writing.
Same here.
I have a certain type of book I like to buy. I like the what is it? The Rokia is is a type of, I like that.
Yeah.
I like it soft. I like to be able to put it in my pocket, throw it in my backpack. And I love Jelly Roll. Is a very cheap pen, but Jelly Roll pens, 0.8, I think, are my favorite. I love an ink that dumps out at first, writes, and then dumps out at the end. I love to write like that.
It's almost like a fountain pen.
Yes, and I also love Mont Blanc.
Oh yeah,
I love Mont Blanc. What kind of pens do you like?
I like Faber-Castell. I'm really into mechanical pencils.
Really?
And they're these German ones, and they're not cheap, but you have it forever. I mean, they're just so great, and they're really comfortable in the hand. They got this long point on the end, which could be used as a weapon.
Yeah.
So I thought, walking down the street with my pencil in my hand, like, okay.
Yeah.
It was just there, officer. I took the guy down.
Are there certain types of shops you go into where you could be lost in?
Oh gosh, I mean, so many. Well, bookstores definitely. Pen stores, especially when you're in Europe, there's those pen stores.
There's so many great pen stores in Amsterdam.
Oh, yeah.
There's so many great pen stores in Amsterdam.
Yeah.
And I love going up and going, help me with a new pen. Mm-hmm. Help me find something I really want.
Yeah, totally. I was just shot my newest movie in Rome. And there's some great pen stores there too. And it's nice because you go in and there's brands you haven't quite heard of. Yeah. They're like Italian or whatever the country that you're in.
Yeah, Europe's got great pen stores.
Yeah,
I can go into surf shop. I get lost in there. I can walk the aisles. Sporting goods stores. That's where me and my dad connected when I was a kid. So I get lost. When I'm on the road, I often will go. Let's go to Shields.
Yeah, totally.
And just walk the aisles.
I'm with you. Also, Target, man. I can just get lost in Target forever and buy so much stuff I don't need.
Dude, we did a bottle sign. My partner and I have we have a vodka. It's right on your shoulder.
Oh, cool.
And
nice.
I'd be curious to see your artistic opinion of our bottle. So your bottle's gorgeous.
Well, thank you.
This is your gin.
Yes.
What's the name of your gin?
Artingstall's Brilliant London Dry Gin. So my mom's maiden name was Artingstall.
So this is your gin.
Oh, this is gorgeous. Yeah, that's my gin. I make it. Not in my bathtub, but I make it. Out of Wisconsin. So it's a London Dry, but it's actually made in the U.S. And designed the bottle. It's my recipe. And yeah, I'm very proud of it. And
Really?
we've won a ton of awards.
So this isn't a white label situation. This is you making your gin.
This is a lifelong dream. Yours is gorgeous, by the way.
Well, thank you very much. And I will tell you, that vodka was, I wouldn't say a lifelong dream, but within the past probably 10 years of my life, I've been a straight vodka drinker. And when we decided to launch at Booze, we actually talked about gin. And I was like, I don't know enough about gin.
Right.
I was like, I know vodka.
Yeah.
And I know taste of vodka that I like. And so we were very integral in the recipe of the make of the vodka and what
That's
we
great.
wanted. Yeah.
Well, I mean, gin is really just at its core flavored vodka.
Really?
Yeah, because it's the same ethanol base. But, obviously you can do it, like vodka, you can have potato or barley or whatever else, rice, I think. But yeah, so it's basically, let's say it's basically vodka that then there's a thing called the basket. And you put all your botanicals in there. It depends how you stack them, what they are. You can be a bazillion different types of botanicals. And then that's what you drop into the vat, the distiller. What do they call? Why am I blanking on what they call? But the big pot that they do it in, and they distill through it. So it's kind of like almost like tea. You're dropping a tea bag into something, and that's where you get the flavor from. But that's why there's a million different kinds of gin, because sky's the limit what you want to put in there.
So when you first started drinking gin, what were the gins that you were into? We'll get back to movies in a second, but this is fascinating.
Yeah, I could talk about gin all day. I mean, when I first started drinking gin, my story on gin was, I've always wanted to be an adult, and I like grown up life, and the martini to me just represented that. Like if you could be drinking martini. So, but I early in my life snuck down to some friend's basement bar that his parents had, and he opened up the bottle of Beefeater and took a swig and was like, tasted awful.
Aggressive.
Yeah, it's just like Pine Sol or something, So I was like, I guess I hate gin. And I think a lot of other people have had that experience. So then when I want to do martinis, I started doing vodka martinis. That was fun, and I liked them. But then I read this book, this pretty finicky cocktail book that said a vodka martini is not a real martini. Martinis are gin. And so I was like, I got to learn to like gin. So started drinking, the traditional ones. And it was really like, okay, let's make myself like Beefeater, make myself like that. But then I started drinking Bombay Sapphire, which was still pretty piney, still pretty in your face, but made myself kind of like it, and then grew to love it. And then Hendrix came along right when it first came out. I got into it, and I was like, oh, this is nice. It softened up that juniper thing, and it had a little bit of a cucumber essence to it. And that started me on this journey of like when we travel the world, just trying gin everywhere.
Really?
And just went like, I know exactly what I want a gin to taste like, and never quite found one. So I was like, if I could have my own, and finally hooked up with this company to partner with, and we did it.
This show is sponsored by True Classic, designed to accentuate your best features. True Classic shirts are tailored for a perfect fit, snug in the arms and chest, with just the right amount of room in the midsection. True Classic sells premium products at an affordable price. You can get their best-selling t-shirts, jeans, hoodies, and more in 3, 6, and 9 packs. True Classic's activewear becomes essential for workouts and vacations alike. Their active crew necks offer moisture wicking, quick drying, and odor control, pairing them with their soft, stretchy joggers for all-day comfort. How many times do I show up down here after working out in my True, and I wear it all day long? All their clothing can be mixed and matched and designed to work with your lifestyle so you can look and feel your best each and every day. True Classic is so committed to their product, they even have a 100% perfect fit guarantee and easy return. I'm telling you right now, I walked in the other day to do 2 Bears, and Tommy said, have you been working out, or is that True Classic? I was like, it's a little bit of both. Right now, you can unlock big savings when you bundle items site-wide. Just go to my exclusive link at trueclassic.com/Bertcast to save. That's trueclassic.com/Bertcast and discover the perfect blend of summer vibes and timeless elegance with True Classic. Shop now and elevate your wardrobe today. Is there anything better than sitting down with a nice cigar to unwind from a day? I would say no. I would say there is nothing better, and that is why this podcast is sponsored by Cayman Cigar Company. They make premium cigars using the highest quality Caribbean tobacco, and the cigars are hand-rolled by master cigar rollers. What makes Cayman so unique is that they are the world's only premium cigar company to donate 100% of net profits to charity. Every dollar they don't use to roll cigars goes back to local and international charitable organizations, from creating entrepreneurial opportunities for marginalized populations to supporting the self-sufficiency of those in addiction recovery to providing specialized assistance to U.S. veterans. Just for Bertcast listeners who I know love smoking cigars, they've created a custom sampler pack so you can enjoy all of their top cigars in one pack. Head to CaymanCigars.com/Bertcast to check out their sampler that you are going to love. I can promise you that. I have smoked their sampler, and it is everything I love. It is everything I love, and a couple things I didn't know I was going to like. Like, I'm weird with ring gauges. Like, I'm always like a ring gauge queen. And one of the ones I got was, I was like, and then I was like, you know what? I'm going to take time and enjoy it. Dude, I trust these guys. They know exactly what they're doing. That is why they are master cigar rollers. So enjoy a cigar and give back to those in need. Head to CaymanCigars.com/Bertcast to check out our sampler while supplies last, and use code Bertcast for 10% off your order. Once again, that's CaymanCigars with an S.com/Bertcast for 10% off, and make sure to use my promo code Bertcast so that they know that I sent you. So I talked poetically about vodka. Yes. I can tell you what I want. I told them what I wanted. I drink vodka in the mornings when I'm flying.
There you go.
I drink it at night too, but mostly at the morning. At night, I'm not saying any vodka will do, but at night, a vodka cut with soda is fine. I was always a Tito's guy. I kind of liked that it wasn't overwhelming.
Yeah.
But I always said I want a vodka that whispers in my ear as opposed to one that yells in my ear.
Yeah.
I want it's the morning, it's early. I want a vodka that doesn't say we're drinking vodka. Mm-hmm. I want a vodka that casually goes, did you know we're drinking vodka?
Yeah.
And so I wanted something soft. I didn't want any flavor. I didn't want a vanilla hue to it, but I wanted the vanilla profile, meaning I wanted the vanilla just is such a great flavor. And so you can't taste the vanilla, but I can.
No, I know what you mean. Totally. Yeah. There's just traces of, well, that's what with mine comes, because I meet, everybody in the U.S., you meet, go, I have a gin. Oh, I don't like gin. It's like, okay, try this. Yeah. Oh, I really like this. Because I softened mine too. I pulled back on the juniper, that's the piney thing, and kind of got this semi-floral, but not obnoxiously so, semi-citrusy, but then with this kind of peppery back note. And, what process you went through with yours, like, for mine, I went in and talked to the distillers for like 3 or 4 hours, just like, here's what I like, here's what I don't like, here's the brands I like, here's the brands I don't like. And they go off and they distill like 8 different varieties.
We got 14. Keep going. I love this. I still got the 14 tasters downstairs.
Isn't it fun? I know.
Yeah. It was so fun. And I was sober at the time. I wasn't drinking.
Oh.
So I was tasting it and sitting it within my mouth and then spitting it out, rinsing my mouth out, and doing the next one. And I think that was the best way for me to do it, because it really forced me into this is how the vodka will talk to you when you take it.
Yeah. No, it's weird. Like, if you're doing it so specifically for that, how you focus in a different way than when you're just having a drink. When you're having a drink, oh, I like this, or I don't. This is just like, surgical. Yeah. So they did 8 very, big varieties off of what I talked about. And then we just went through that process several more times. They'd go off and we'd weed them out. 8 micro variations, 8 more micro variations. But unlike you, when I had to finalize my last thing, they were so micro close that I'm just like taking sips. But, a bunch of sips, I was fucking on the floor by the time I had to, because once we decided, I think this is it, then it's like, well, let's try it in a dirty martini. Let's try it in a Negroni. Let's try it in a gin and soda. Let's try it in
Negronis are so good.
Oh, they're so, I do a bottle of Negroni too.
Are you serious?
That uses my gin, and it's a less sweet and syrupy. I don't use Campari. I have another secret.
I love Campari.
Bitter I use.
I was late to Campari. I'm early to gin. We started gin. My dad was a gin and tonic guy.
Oh yeah.
And I was heavy gin pour, little tonic.
Yeah, there you go.
I love that.
Well, I'm a gin and soda guy, because I actually think the tonic kind of crushes the gin.
I absolutely hate tonic.
I do too. I can't stand
tonic.
That taste is like, it's like diet soda to me. I can't drink that because it just tastes like harsh.
Yeah.
But what I like gin so much, I just want something that's going to amplify what I like about it. If you could have your perfect gin drink. Like, if you're going to say to someone, you never tried gin, well, let me set you up. And I've got $100,000 to put you in the perfect place to have the perfect gin. Like when you say, you got to try a Guinness. Well, you got to try a Guinness in Ireland at a pub. It's got to be loud. Like where would you set your perfect gin drink, and what gin drink would it be? It would be a martini. Definitely. I'm a martini fanatic. And I'd send you to Duke's Bar in London. They're very strong because Alessandro Palazzi, the amazing bartender, it's a little, first of all, I always tell people it's my favorite bar in the world. And they kind of expect it's going to be this big opulent thing. It's not. It's like grandma's living room. I mean, it's really this little with these kind of tufted chairs and stuff. But then Alessandro and his team, he'll wheel up this old cart, and they make it tableside. But the different thing that they do is everything's frozen. He freezes the glasses, freezes the gin, and what he does, comes over, pours a little bit of vermouth in the glass, swirls it around, kind of coats the sides, and dumps it onto the carpet. Then he takes the frozen gin, pours frozen gin directly into the glass, and then has these big Amalfi lemons, cuts a big twist, expresses it over the top, runs around the edges and drops it in. So it's fantastic, but it is an ass kicker because normally when you make a martini, you do it in water, in ice, so it dilutes it. This is straight up, so they limit you to 2.
Really?
Not me. I have a special pass because I can do 3 and still be semi-conscious. I had a thing. I got interviewed for something in a paper there, and the guy said, "Where do you want to meet?" So let's meet at Duke's. So he and I had 2 martinis as we're talking, and also I left, and I see this guy wandering around the street. He was so out of his head. I mean, I was like, "Oh no, I just destroyed this guy. I don't think he drinks."
I love when I've had that happen a lot in my career where people say, we're in an interview for something, I'd love to, because my whole thing when I was a kid, I got involved with the Russian mafia. And so everyone wants to drink vodka with me. And I'm not impervious to vodka, but I'm not a lightweight.
Yeah.
And I've seen Rolling, I said Rolling Stone. I've seen, it was a guy from Rolling Stone who came out to interview me, and we had a couple vodka sodas, and all of a sudden he was like,
it's so funny to discover what lightweights some people are. I'm the same way. I can really put them back.
Oh, we should get drunk sometime.
Yeah, let's do it, man. I'll make you a great. I make a great martini
for real.
That is my superpower, more than making movies or anything.
But you have a director's brain.
Yeah,
I do not. I absolutely do not. I could not. I worked with a guy named Peter Atencio.
Oh yeah,
very talented, and he. By the way, I want everyone to know that when I'm on this podcast and we talk about making movies, I talk about the one movie I made. That's it. That's my only experience.
Embrace it.
I have that fucking to my grave. I will have a barcode for you to get my movie at my funeral.
Well, we'll have to get you another movie just to up the ante.
But I watched his brain work, and I don't have that brain.
It's a very specific thing. I mean, we're about seeing this whole picture and then seeing it in the tiniest little bits and pieces because everything's a shot. Everything's, doing a movie. It's tedious as hell.
It is.
People always want to come visit on the set. And I'm always like, you're going to be bored. Oh, no, I can't wait. And I think a lot of people think a movie's shot like in real time.
Yeah.
Like they're going to come watch a play. And you're like, you guys know, like, this is going to take forever to light it. We're going to do like 2 words and then we're going to, take another half hour to get it together.
Yeah. I'm just curious. I think your name is synonymous with so much of our collective unconscious. And it's like a name you hear, and I think a lot of times people go, "Oh yeah, I know him." But then sometimes I don't think they realize, like I did not realize that you were Freaks and Geeks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I created that. Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, it's very hard for people to understand and kind of know people behind the scenes. There's certain people that obviously broke through, Tarantino, everybody knows who Tarantino is. Everybody knows who Scorsese, everybody knows Spielberg. But, most of us are just kind of, nobody knows what a director does. It basically, I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've had people going, "Oh, so you're director? Oh, you directed The Office. Have you ever met Steve Carell?" I directed the man, so yes, I met him. But I just don't think they have a concept of what movies, and they shouldn't. It's not their job to. But I think it's why it's hard for people to kind of latch onto a name unless you just have branded the hell out of yourself.
Yeah. So 97 is your first independent film. Freaks and Geeks is 2000.
No, 1999.
1999. Yeah. It seems like a fast track to me, especially back then.
Yeah.
When Hollywood, and I think correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like, I don't know where Hollywood is right now, but back then there was there were kingmakers.
Yeah.
And you had to play the game and you had to be in the right grooming, for lack of better words, of getting to where you were. Get me from 97 to Freaks and Geeks.
Yeah, well, so I made that movie, couldn't get into any film festivals, so I was screwed because Sabrina the Teenage Witch had gone down. I'd spent all our money on that, and I just had this year of like, oh fuck, I have to give up my dream and just go work a regular job. And then I got the film got into this thing called what's it called, Flix Tour, which was this college tour where they picked 3 different films and they sent us as filmmakers out. They would fly us into a city, rent us a car, and we'd drive around from college to college showing the movie. And then they would pay, whatever, $750 fee that the guy who was running the thing, I just sent it back to him. But so I got to do that. But when I was going to go out to do that, I remember saying to my wife, like, I was always need to be writing something. I was like, I got to write something while I'm out there. I'll go out of my mind. And I had this idea forever to do a show about high school because I was so tired of all these high school shows being about people I didn't know, being like all the cool kids and they're all dating and there's all about sex and all this stuff. Like, we were a bunch of nerds. My friends were burnouts. I never see them portrayed. Or there's a nerd, he's got tape on his glasses and all that. So I was like, I thought, I'm going to write a show about my 2 groups. And I remember sitting on the toilet where all great ideas happen, going like, what should I call it? It's like nerds and blah, blah, blah. It's like, well, we used to call the burnouts freaks. Oh, and I guess they call us geeks now. We never called ourselves geeks back then. I was like, freaks and geeks, that's kind of cool. So I was out to dinner with my wife and I said, yeah, I think I'm gonna, when I'm out, work on this TV show idea called Freaks and Geeks about, and I told her the idea and she just puts her hand up for a high five. She goes, that's it. She goes, that's the thing that's going to be big for you.
Cool. I have some ideas I'd love to pitch to your wife to see.
Yeah, by all means. She's tough, man. I tell you. I can't tell you how many times that hand has not gone up. Exactly.
I'll tell my wife a joke and she'll go, I don't get it. And I'm like, and sometimes I just go, you just don't.
Did you do that over the head?
I do over the head. I go, yeah, I didn't think you'd get it. That's why it'll be good. I'm edgy. And so you're writing Freaks and Geeks, and then how do you get that? I'm assuming, and also there were.
There's only 4 networks.
There was only 4 networks, and there were silos. You were either an actor. Yeah. It was very hard to go actor to showrunner, actor to writer, actor to director. Yeah. It was really difficult back then.
Yeah, and it was having this. Fortunately, Judd Apatow and I had done stand-up together. We've known each other forever. I've known him since he was 17 years old, and I was acted and stuff. And I was always reading scripts for him, and he had seen my little independent film that I made. And so I sent it to him because my wife said it because I was going to send it to another friend of mine who had a producing deal somewhere. And Judd had told me he'd just come off the Larry Sanders Show and he got this big deal at DreamWorks to do TV shows. And he'd said after he saw my movie, hey, if you ever have an idea, send it to me. But I wanted to wait until I had something good, not just send him garbage. And it was my wife that said, like, send this to Judd. You guys have the same sense of humor. He's going to get this. And I sent it to him and like, within an hour, he calls up and said, like, I want this. I want to sell it to DreamWorks. So it was this weird, like, suddenly everything happened. Yeah. But like you're saying that you only had a silo. DreamWorks, they had no idea. They were like, who is this guy? So they almost kind of wanted to push me out of it. Uh-huh. But Judd protected me on it. But what's crazy though is today you would get the created by credit. Back then they gave me the created by credit, but they wouldn't make me an exec producer on it. I had to be supervising producer on the show that I created. Yeah. And by the end of the show, I battled them up to being a co-exec producer. And it was just like, today that would not happen, but it was so much like, we don't even know who this guy is. He's an actor. And it's like, okay.
What's it like to make something that is, I'm assuming at the time Freaks and Geeks was a failure, but a cult classic. I know it's a cult. I know where Freaks and Geeks lands on the podium.
Yeah. Oh, it was a failure.
It was a failure.
Well, I mean, it was a critical darling. I mean, you can't believe the reviews we got. I mean, it was through the roof. I remember Judd calling me up that day. All came out. He said, like, enjoy this day because this doesn't normally happen. Yeah. But I was the first timer. I was like, oh, those are great. But then, and we had a big push behind us, but we also got given this time slot, which was 8:00 on a Saturday night, which was kind of the death slot, especially for a show about high school, because anybody's going to watch your show is out having fun on Saturday night, 8:00. So our ratings just dropped and dropped and dropped. And we were always like pretty much the lowest rated show on NBC. Here's the irony. We had as the lowest rated show, we still had 7 million loyal viewers every week, which would make us a giant hit today.
Oh, it would make you the biggest show on television.
Oh, totally. And we were just a disgrace because like, oh my God, only 7 million people are watching. So the industry has changed quite a bit.
Did you fight for it? Like, how hard did you fight when they started to cancel it? Were you like, I'm ready to go on to the next thing?
No, we were fighting, and Judd's the real fighter. He was, because I was so busy writing the show and putting it together and just kind of being the voice of it and staying in there. And he was too, but at the same time, he had the political clout to fight them, but we just couldn't. But I mean, they wanted to cancel us earlier, and then this guy Scott Sasso was running the network, and he was being nice, kind of going like, we'll give it 2 more. So we kept we had 13 episodes, and normally they would give you a back 9 pickup back in the old days when you had 22 episodes. Those days are gone. But he would go like, okay, we'll give you 2 more. And they were like, if you do get this number on this night, then we'll give you, so we get like 2 more, then 1 more, then 2 more, then 1 more. It's eking them out. And that was why I actually shot the what turned out to be the series finale before we shot 3 more episodes, because Judd came up to me and said, look, the writing may be on the wall. We're going to get canceled. We don't want to be one of those shows that just ends. So he said, you should write the finale. And so I did. And that's the one I wrote and directed about the Grateful Dead, and shot that. Yeah. And then it turned out, thank goodness we did, because then we got canceled. But we got canceled. My mom died, and then 2 days later we got canceled. So I was so like just in a haze that when he called, I remember it was my dad's lawyer's office. We're talking about my mom, all my mom's stuff, and he called him. He was in tears. He's like, "We got canceled." I was like, "I can't handle any more bad news," But it was sad. It was really sad. We had so many stories we wanted to tell, and I had so many things I was looking forward to doing.
If they were going to play one scene from Freaks and Geeks at your funeral, what would you want them to play? What's your favorite scene?
It would be from the finale that I directed when Nick does the disco contest, because that actually happened to me. That really is a completely true story. But it has to have the breakup when Lindsay and he break up in the beginning of it, because that sets his mood where he's trying to be cool with it, and then he's doing that slow walk to the dance floor in slow motion, and we're playing Heat Waves, Groove Train, Groove Line, which I think is the greatest song ever. And then he does this dancing, and it's cathartic dance because he's in this dance contest, and then he loses to a guy who does magic while he's dancing. And that happened to me. I entered this disco dance contest because we had a teen disco in the local bowling alley. And I just fancied myself like the greatest dancer. And I remember being out there doing my moves, and all these girls were staring. And I was thinking like, they must think I'm really cool. In retrospect, I go, no, they're just staring at me like, who's this fucking moron? And then some guy came out and he danced and he did magic tricks. And I was just like, well, I didn't know you could do magic. I could have done something like that.
My favorite scene from Freaks and Geeks is, and it's only because I feel like I lived it, is when what's his name comes home after school.
Oh yeah, Bill. Yeah,
eating the cake,
watching Gary Shandling.
Because every one of us that's a comic had one of those moments where you realized what comedy was.
Yeah, and that's right out of Judd's life.
Really?
Yeah, because he was he had divorced parents, so he really was into doing that. It was great. Everybody loves that scene.
At this time, had you made your mind up and you're like, I'm done with acting. This is my lane.
Yeah, because it was getting let go from Sabrina the Teenage Witch was the big eye opener, because I'd been a regular on like 5 TV series before that. So like the thing called Dirty Dancing. Dirty Dancing had a TV series. It was not good. Then the Tom Arnold show, Jackie Thomas show, which is Tom Arnold's show. A thing called Good Sports with Ryan O'Neal and Farrah Fawcett. The Louie show with Louie Anderson. Good old Louie.
I love Louie.
I know. God bless him. And then the Sabrina the Teenage Witch, and they all got canceled the first season. And finally, I was on Sabrina, which was a hit. So I was like, finally, I'm taken care of. And then you get let go. And those contracts.
Oh, yeah.
It's like they sign you up for 7 years. You got no out, but they have within that contract, they can fire you 2 times during each season. They can not renew your contract. And I'm just like, you know what? Fuck this. I have no control over my life.
I hated that feeling.
Yeah.
I hated that feeling of knowing your contract was coming up.
Yeah.
I remember spinning out of control on one of my TV shows. Mm-hmm. I think we were on 13 week where they renewed, and I was at 13 weeks, and I was like, this is my favorite thing I've ever done.
Yeah.
And you just sit there in your green room going like, is there going to be a knock at my door? And then they never were going to let you go. And then no one told you. They didn't even know that 13 weeks was up. And you're like, what the fuck?
You're like, somebody help me out. I'm stressing out. My hair's falling out.
I've already got a job as a longshoreman.
Exactly.
And so I want to go through, I'd love to go through some of your movies. I'm fascinated how you have the ability to connect with actors.
Yeah.
Like I'm fascinated by that because that seems to be what makes you great. And I also would say, I feel like you have the ability of discovering actors that are my favorite actors before I know who they are.
Oh, cool. I mean, that's my favorite thing to do. That's absolutely my favorite thing. And it's surprisingly easy to do if you open up the door and let people in to audition or to meet them and see what they do and then fit what they do into change what you had planned so that they can be at their best.
Yeah.
And going back to what we were talking about writers not wanting to change any words and showrunners, all that. Somebody, it would always be like, oh, that you'd be perfect for this, but it's not quite the character. And what I learned it from Judd, and then in my career, I found it's like, if somebody's great, don't let them go. Change the script. It's not fucking written in stone, like change the character. If that person's going to be awesome. And that's my favorite thing now, just finding these people. And, I like kind of breaking them on a TV show that I'm producing, because then it's like a farm team. And then you go, okay, I'm going to bump you up to the movies now.
Really?
Yeah. And it's amazing the level of talent that's out there if you are just open to seeing it. And when you see it, you've seen that, when you see like a comic or something, you go, okay, they're fine. Then somebody comes up and you're like, holy shit, they got something. Even if they're not polished yet, there's something in that person.
There was I sent a text to like 3 people. I'm going to probably say it's before the pandemic about Adam Ray.
Oh yeah. Oh God. How much do we love Adam Ray?
This is weird because in a weird way, you take ownership of your buddies. Like not ownership, that sounds awful, but like you feel like, I knew they were funny before everyone. It's almost the way people feel about bands.
Yeah.
Like I remember seeing Dave Matthews in like 95 at the Milk Bar in Tallahassee. So he was always my guy. Like he was always my guy. I found Dave Matthews.
Right, there you go.
And
he
so
owes
like
you.
but I don't have any there's no ownership to it, but that's the relationship I have with that guy. And and with comedy, especially with comics, there's guys above you that are fantastic, and there's no ownership. You root for them to succeed, but with especially like a younger comic like Adam Ray, who just seemed to me to be so inventive and so unstoppable, and so it was almost like he was very inspirational.
Yeah,
the way he always showed up in a lot of your movies, but he always showed up killing it in a movie.
Yeah,
and then now to see him with Dr. Phil just destroying, and with his stand-up destroying, selling theaters, and doing such big things.
It just, the hardest working man in showbiz. But that's how you have to be. People are always like, how do I make it? It's like, just fucking, you can't be stopped.
You got to keep making things and just keep making things. And look, they're not all going to be home runs.
Yeah.
But I can tell you, the guy that tries to just make home runs isn't going to make anything.
Yeah, totally. And that's when I was, starting out as a stand-up and in an actor and all this, the sitting around you waiting for the phone to ring. And if I was like, fuck this, if I'm not out there showcasing all the time by doing stand-up and, doing sketch shows, whatever, just be out there, because the odds of somebody seeing you go up when you're out there all the time. You don't know when they're going to show up, and it can be in the weirdest moment. You're playing some shitty place, and suddenly some casting director happens to be there, somebody who knows somebody, and that's your break. You don't know when the break's going to happen, but you have to be out there all the time, because if you missed your break, it's very easy to miss it if you're not out there.
This show is sponsored by Mando. Mando, whole body deodorant, will be your best friend this summer. I can promise you that. Mando is clinically proven to control odor for 72 hours. Safe for the whole body. Pits, package, feet, and everywhere in between. It stops odor before it starts. And it's American made. Available in cologne quality scents. Bourbon leather, Mount Fuji, which is my favorite. I've never even been to Mount Fuji, but I love that smell so much. Pro Sport and Cloverwoods. Mando is seriously safe to use anywhere on your body. Pits, package, grundle, balls, butthole, belly button, butt crack, stinky crevices, stomachs, feet, folds, anywhere you can find a place that smells. Anywhere where these little fingers go, I wonder what that smells like. Throw Mando there and you will be like, wow, that smells good. I love my Mando. You know I don't like showering a lot. I take a good shower, Mando up, and I'm clean for 74 hours. Mando's starters pack is perfect for new customers. It comes with a solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, 2 free products of your choice. I would suggest Mini Body Wash and their deodorant wipes, and free shipping. Luckily, I have a discount code to help you get hooked on my favorite smelling whole body deodorant on the market. New customers get $5 off a starter pack with our exclusive code. That equates to over 40% off your starter pack. Use code Bertcast at shopmando.com, shopmando.com. This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. When your schedule is packed with kid activities and big work projects and more, it is so easy to let your priorities slip. I literally just had this conversation with Leanne in the car. We know what makes us happy, but sometimes it's hard to make time for it. But when you feel like you have no time for yourself, non-negotiables like therapy are more important than ever. Leanne sat in the car with me, and I was frustrated. What was happening was I was not raising my voice, but I was raising my intensity of my voice. I was like talking like this, like panicked. And she said, and I said, "You're looking at me like you know what's wrong." And she goes, "You haven't been to therapy this week yet. You have therapy tomorrow. You need to talk about this." And I was like, "What?" She goes, "When was the last time you played tennis?" I was like, "I don't have time for tennis, Leanne." She was like, "You have to make time for tennis. You need to talk to your therapist about how you're going to optimize your time so that you can make time for yourself, because without making time for yourself, all of a sudden you start feeling like you're not living your life. And if you're not living your life, you're not living your best life." Listen, if you're thinking about starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist, and you can switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. Never skip a therapy day with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/Bert today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/Bert. I mean, the two people that make me laugh harder than anyone in the world are, and I talk in large
hyperbole.
I'm Captain Hyperbole. But Kristen Wiig and Kate McKinnon.
Oh God.
I mean, Kristen Wiig, for me, for my money, and also I got to say, Tina Fey's amazing, but amazing, but like Kristen Wiig is the comic that people in a writer's room, when you don't have any ideas, they start pulling up her old videos.
Yeah. Oh no, totally. I mean the crazy characters and some people just have comedy DNA.
Yeah.
And like I was lucky enough to know Farley. I worked with Farley because he did a guest spot on the Jackie Chalmers show.
Really?
Yeah, and I got to act with him and stuff, and I became pals with him. Like whenever I'd see him, he knew who I was and stuff, which was so nice. And he had comedy DNA, just like Kristen does. There's some people, it's just in them. They can't not be funny.
Yeah.
And in Kate McKinnon, the same way. They just come into a room and they're just even if they're not trying to be funny, most of them. You just want to laugh, which could be like that Twilight Zone or whatever. Outer Limits. There's one where a comic who he bombs all the time, and then he gets some special power. They grant his wish, where people laugh at him all the time, and he hates it because they won't stop laughing at him. So I feel like sometimes those people feel like I'm not trying to be funny right now.
Yeah,
but they're just too funny.
Now, did you like Farley's like one of my favorite human beings that has ever been alive.
I mean, that's the biggest loss comedy's ever had.
For real.
Him. Yeah.
I don't think we got an opportunity to see more of him. Like I will to this day say my favorite stuff with John Belushi was like Continental Divide.
Yeah.
Like I just loved John Belushi.
He's a great actor.
He could do literally nothing. He could just move his eyes, and it would roll me over as a child.
Yeah.
I mean, Blues Brothers, amazing.
Oh, the greatest.
Animal House, amazing.
Yeah.
Neighbors, weird as fuck, still amazing.
Exactly.
But Continental Divide for me was like this movie that I think I saw expecting to laugh as a kid. Must have been a kid.
Yeah.
I must have been like 12. I'm guessing.
Yeah.
And love that movie. I still to this day, anytime anyone gets injured in the snow, I go, it's super easy. Lay a bunch of ropes, put ice on it.
It was him and Bess Armstrong, wasn't it?
I think so.
Yeah.
And a football player.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because I was a tour guide at Universal Studios when that came out. They would show all the tour guides whatever movie was coming out. And I remember we went and saw Continental Divide and going like, wow, he's really great in that. He was also in Missouri Breaks. Am I correct? I think there's a movie called some Western or something. I don't know. But God, another loss. I mean, you hate when you lose the great ones too early. It's just so depressing.
So when you work with someone like Kristen Wiig, I mean, did you first see her? When did you first meet Kristen Wiig?
I first met Kristen because she had just started on SNL, and I did a movie called Unaccompanied Minors, this kid's Christmas movie.
They get stuck in the
airport. Yeah.
I love the premise. I saw that movie.
Yeah.
They are flying across country to go see their dad.
Yeah, the divorced kids. Yeah, and then they get trapped in this airport because of the snow thing. Yeah, it was not a success, but it was my first studio film.
But it's like that. Here's the other thing: is like not a success is weird because nowadays what not a success is, it just goes to streamers.
Yeah,
and it's huge.
No, they rehabilitate themselves. Everything rehabilitates itself eventually. But Kristen, I had one scene where I needed like the mother of this girl, and she was supposed to be kind of this like weird kind of stripper mom or whatever. And Kristen just came in. Allison Jones, the great Allison Jones, casting director, was like, "Oh, Kristen Wiig, who's on SNL. Oh yeah, she's funny." So she came and did it. She's in the movie for like I think 2 seconds. But that was the first movie she'd ever done.
Really?
So that was really cool. And then we just stayed friends after that. And then some of them Bridesmaids eventually came up. And, I went to meet her to just say, like, are you cool if I do this? It was just like old home week.
How do you take someone like her in Knocked Up?
Yeah. Well, that was her big springboard because that was when Judd said, "You're great. Write your own vehicle."
Really?
Yeah, and that's when she and Andy Mumolo wrote what turned into Bridesmaids.
Really?
It wasn't originally Bridesmaids, yeah.
How do you get a comic out of their own way?
It's really a great question. I mean, most comics are pretty confident and have this natural governor, which I'm always fascinated by, that I almost have to push them. I almost have to get them out of their way by making them do more than they think they should do.
Really?
Yeah, because, and I don't want to name any names, but there's been people I've worked with who, like, I'll go, "Oh, I know they're funny if I push them 10% more." And they'll do something. I'm like, "That's great. Can we do this?" And like, "No, that's going to be too big." It's like, I'm telling you, do this, because if you do, it's not going to be too big because you will not let it get too big.
Yeah.
But if I push you to the edge of your emotion or whatever, you're going to give a great performance. And always, you're just like, "That's so funny." And then they're, "Oh, yeah, that was pretty good." So, yeah, but I think you got to get them out of their way of wanting to pull back.
Really? Because I feel like what I think is amazing about her is when you saw her in Knocked Up, and it was, like, honestly, probably the single best, I say cameo, but small part in any movie that I've ever seen of one actress or actor taking a zero part.
Yeah.
It's what's the Midsummer Night's Dream? Is it Puck?
Yeah.
Is that they used to say he has no lines, but he's the funniest person in the movie.
Oh, 100%.
And I don't know if that's accurate. I remember, I have a layman's understanding of movies and plays, but and zero understanding of Shakespeare. But that was so crazy. Then you get her and she's in Bridesmaids and she acts.
Yeah.
She isn't. It's not everything. You get great scenes from her, but she acts.
Yeah.
And there's emotion, and she plays like this a little bit of an out of control woman.
Yeah.
And it's so fucking amazing.
All the best comedy actors are actors first. I mean, they are they're naturally funny, so the funny's there. But if they're just funny and being crazy, it doesn't mean anything to the audience. I mean, you go, "Oh, that person's funny," but you're not going to follow them and invest in them for an hour and a half, 2 hours, and root for them in this story. But so they all have to be great actors. Kristen's a great actor. Melissa McCarthy is a great actor. Steve Carell is a great actor. All these people can do that, and that's why they can be. Awkwafina is an amazing actor. I mean, she, on our movie, on Jackpot, I was just like, she had a couple of kind of heavy scenes, and I was just like, "Man, you're really good."
First of all, we're going to talk about Jackpot in a second.
No worries.
Because my most impressive part of that movie is Awkwafina's ability to use her body.
Yeah.
She's very, that's like John Cena, we get it.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. But she had such an ability, and I did not, to use her body in a funny way in a fight scene.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and it was, and I'd never seen her do anything like that. So it was kind of like, I hope she can do this. And then, man, she just went for it. Stunt guys loved her.
I bet.
Oh, and the rehearsals they'd be doing, off in their gym or whatever, they'd be like, "Oh my God, she picked it up, and she's adding all these jokes." And I was just like, damn.
But she's naturally funny.
Yeah.
She's a natural hang.
Well, another person with, comedy DNA.
Yeah. Really, honestly, what when when you read a script, say you read Bridesmaids, and I only use that because I think that's probably, it was such a blockbuster.
Well, that's the one everybody knows.
Everyone knows it. But when you read that script, what are you looking for as a director of comedy in that? Like, what are you saying? I heard someone once say, I'm looking for the trailer moments. Like,
right.
Like, what are you looking for when you read that
Well,
script?
that's the commercial filmmaker side of you. But what I'm looking for is, I always say my movies are just dramas that are funny. And that's what you're looking for. You're looking for what's the story? What are the characters? What is the emotional arc under this? Because you don't have that. Nothing else matters. If Bridesmaids was just people shitting in sinks and, and getting drunk on planes, you'd be like looking at your watch halfway through, but you care so much about her character stop fucking up, please prepare yourself. And you care so much about that friendship between them because you see them having such a good time and you see what natural, buddies they are. That's the stuff I look for. Like, how can I find this thing that's going to just pull the audience in and make them go through the fire with this person so that then that character can do stuff that's frustrating. When she blows up at that shower, I mean, if that really happened in real life, you would hate that person the rest of your life, but she's so funny when she does it and you're so with her of like, oh my God, she's been screwed over by Helen, stealing all her ideas for so long that she just flips out. And you just care, but that's what I look for is where is that dramatic investment for the audience.
Out of all the scenes in there, what surprised you most as a director that you were like, that's funnier than I thought it was going to be?
I mean, you kind of knew they were going to be funny. I knew the airplane scene was going to be funny, but it went beyond what I thought it was going to be because of her. Because when she gets drunk, when she's coming up, we just kept shooting it. I just kept shooting and go like, let's do another take. Because every time she would do something different and it was just destroying me.
How do you cover that as a director? This is like, now I'm a little in the weeds on this.
Yeah.
But I think most actors, they don't know when to give you a different take. Like, I know for a fact that from my experience, you're like, I want to try something new, but I want to make sure you got what you needed. Like,
right.
How do you cover a scene like that? Like, do you go, let's do like a wide and then fuck around on all the wides, and then can I get your tights, and then can I get these certain lines?
No, it depends on the scene, but what I always try to do whenever I can is cross shoot, which basically means if you and I are talking right now, I have a camera on you and I have a camera on me, versus how they normally do it. DPs don't like to do that because they can light you better with one camera and keep it tighter eye line. I don't care about that because the audience doesn't care if you look beautiful and you're not funny or nothing's connecting. So if I do that, then they can play, and I'm getting natural reactions from each other, and they're hearing it for the first time, so it feels fresh, and it's like you're sitting with your friends while it's happening for the first time versus, and I don't even rehearse, I just kind of set it up and then we just start going. The first take is usually something different that not the way I thought it was going to play at all. I'm like, okay, in my head I'm thinking like, okay, that's terrible, so let's kind of move it towards what I want. And so 9 times out of 10, I get the editing room go like, you know what? They were right. Like what their natural instinct is better than the thing I had in my head. So you just got to kind of get out of the way. I also try to do my coverage first and do the master last so that they can work out their thing, but I'm getting while it's fresh on them. And by the time you pull back wide, you use it when somebody walks into a room, walks out of a room. You don't generally use the master very much for performance. So I want them fresh. I want what's coming out of their heads right away.
Yeah. If you had to remake The Heat, right, and you can't pick, you can only pick one, Sandra Bullock or Melissa McCarthy. Who do you pick, and who do you replace the other person with?
Oh, you're a monster. Why would you possibly ask me this? They're both irreplaceable, my friend. I mean, look, I love them both, but obviously Melissa's she is your
okay, so who do we replace Sandra Bullock with? Who would you because it's Sandra Bullock's such a fucking monster in that role.
She's so fantastic.
She's so fucking awesome.
She's hilarious in that role.
One of the 15 people I'd cheat on my wife with. Like, she is so fucking amazing.
She's the best. No,
she really is.
Yeah, and fun to work with and all that. So now you just made me fire her.
Who would you replace Sandra Bullock with if you had to? Just real quick, gut instinct.
I can surprise you with this. Anne Hathaway. Wouldn't that be great?
I love Anne Hathaway.
She's the best. I
love Anne
Hathaway.
Hathaway.
As a person, she's the nicest person in the world. I just love her to death. And she's just funny because she's a big nerd, like me and like everybody else I know.
Yeah, you seem to have a knack for working with great women.
I love funny women. It's my bread and butter. It's what I enjoy. I mean, I love, obviously, male comedy and all that, but I really relate to female comedy. I think it's because I was an only child. Most of my friends were girls when I was growing up, and I just got used to that kind of style of just the way that women make each other laugh is slightly different than the way guys do in general.
Yeah, women. I surround myself with women, and both my sisters. I have 2 daughters, and I have 15 women that work here.
Nice.
And it's funny. I was just saying, if I had what was the occupation? I was like, I would want a woman to do that. Oh, I was talking about a director.
Oh yeah, totally.
I was like, I think I'd probably connect quicker with a female director because I think I need the I don't know. Women are just a little. I don't know. They're sometimes dudes are dudes.
Well, there's a kind of this kind of, I don't, how do you say this without offending everybody? Just kind of like a bro-y energy sometimes, or an aggressive energy.
You mean like the comments on Ghostbusters 3?
Oh, those? What do you mean? Everyone was so nice. I'm not at all traumatized from 10 years of putting up with that shit.
Do you think one day people will look back at Ghostbusters 3 like they do Freaks and Geeks?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, God forbid I ever say it on the internet that we have fans and supporters. I get constantly people who love the movie, their kids love the movie, their boys love the movie.
Yeah.
I was in Italy doing this movie for the last 6 months. I'm telling you, half the time when I put my credit card down, they'd see my name, go like, Paul Feig, Ghostbusters? Italy loves my Ghostbusters for some reason. So I love that. And so take that, haters. No, I have no regrets on anything. But there's just that kind of dude thing. Sometimes it just wears me down because all my bullies were that. I think that's why I had so many girlfriends, friends who were girls, I should say.
No, I feel like if you ever read a negative comment, it's almost exclusively a dude.
Oh, no, totally.
I mean, like I looked at who's the worst is when you read a negative comment about who I wish I could remember who it was. I read a negative comment on my friend today, and the guy was like, "Oh, this fucking bullshit," and then everyone started going like, did you really come here to tell him that? And the guy was like, fuck that, he needs to hear this. I mean, this guy was aggressive.
Yeah.
And I was like, it's not about me. Like, I never read my own comments. I go, what is this guy? And then I click and he follows me. And I was like, that can't be that bad.
He's yours.
Yeah.
Well, that was when we were in the middle of all this, Katie Dipple would always go like, every time I read a mean comment, the avatar is either a demon or a skull. It's like, yeah, pretty much.
It's interesting because people, I wonder if this happened before. Like, I remember hearing bad shit about Waterworld before it came out.
Oh yeah, well, like,
remember
if the press latches onto something, then that's all you hear about.
And it happens with movies. Is like people glom onto a movie that can be good, and they start to hate it.
Yeah,
and then all of a sudden, it's like a groundswell of like, yeah, fuck that shit.
Yeah.
Like, fuck that. And it's such a. I've been guilty of it. When my buddy Tom Segura was guilty of it. He started trashing some movie. I never saw the movie. I never saw it because Tom hated it so much. What was the Lady Gaga movie? Dolce or
about Gucci? House of Gucci.
House of Gucci.
Right. I love that movie. Really? I thought it was funny.
Yeah, he didn't like it, and
right.
I love Adam Driver.
Yeah.
And I have, but then I said I will never shit on a movie because I know how hard it is to make a movie. Everyone that works on it, no one makes a movie going, I hope this sucks.
Yeah, well, I have a very hard and fast rule, which is artists should not publicly put down other artists. I think it's low rent. I fucking hate it. Some people did it to me on Ghostbusters that I still have not forgiven for it. I'm not going to name names because I don't want to give them the press, but people who know better and know not to do that. It's like, why the fuck would you do that?
Yeah.
Like, like you say, we all know how hard it is what we're doing. So give me a break.
Yeah. There's no, I mean, we'll do it with comics. We'll do it behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Like we'll talk shit about.
Oh, totally. That's all we do at dinner. Yeah.
Yeah. But you'll never see, I mean, very seldomly, I take that back. I've seen them do that to other comics, but comics, but like very seldomly do you see people trash other comics trashing other comics. When it happens, I never jump in on that. But I remember saying, I made a rule. I'll never shit on another person's movie, and then fucking Ferrari comes out, and I start saying my opinion of like, I wish they had cast someone different than Selma Hayek.
Right.
Was it Selma Hayek?
Was that? I hate to say I haven't seen it.
Well, it was just Ferrari's wife was not attractive in real life.
Right.
Enzo's Ferrari's wife was not attractive. And I was like, she's so hot. It pulls me out of the movie. I'm like, why did he cheat on her?
Well, having just been in Italy, all the Italians are like, there's nobody Italian in this movie.
Oh, really?
Nobody's Italian. They're all putting on Italian accents. They're not Italian, I mean, not true Italian.
Yeah.
So at least that's what they said. I haven't seen it. So.
Well, it is great. By the way, I was an early adapter to that woke platform in 5th grade.
Yeah.
They cast Gwen Cowan to be Peter Pan. And I was like, hold on.
Oh, yeah.
It's a boy. And like,
well, and girls always played Peter Pan. Kathy Rigby,
Yeah. Sandy Duncan.
Career out of it. Yeah, Sandy Duncan. Exactly.
And I remember being so upset. And they were like, Peter Pan's supposed to be played by a girl.
Right.
And I was like, but it's a boy.
Why they call him Peter?
Yeah, I identify with Peter Pan to this day. To this day. I just wrote a script about Peter Pan.
Well, there you go.
I was like, I'm going to I want to make this movie. It's basically Peter Pan.
There you go. And then you saw Hook, and you saw Robin Williams' terrible hairdo, and you went like, "Oh, maybe they're right."
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I guess Robin Williams did play Peter Pan in that movie.
Remember that? But the movies. There's something I always call it the fatal flaw, which is, and it's usually hard baked into the beginning of a project. That just something that nobody thinks about, and you do all this other great work, and you put it out, and all the audience can think about is this one thing you didn't think about. In that movie, it was Robin Williams' hair. They gave him this crazy ass like flock of seagulls haircut or something. And I remember just like I can't watch anything else. Remember that movie, The Hours or whatever, where with Nicole Kidman had the big fake nose or whatever.
Yeah,
and that's all you could talk about. All you could see was this big fake nose.
Yeah,
and it's just like you're like, oh man, that's the thing that scares me the most. If we're just then you're just kind of polishing the turd, if you've got this fatal flaw in the middle of something.
Well, it's like by the way, we just said we're not going to shit on movies, but here we go.
I know exactly. I'm just shitting on bad makeup.
What was the one with, maybe my favorite actor ever in the fucking world, Benicio del Toro.
Oh, yeah.
In The Werewolf.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, and there was like, or they did it. It happened with Batman with Bane. Yeah. Is that people said they initially shot it and no one could understand him. So they had to go through an ADR. My favorite ADR story ever is Tarzan.
Yeah.
The fucking early one in the 80s when they had to change her voice.
Oh, God, that's right.
Because she had a Southern accent.
Yeah, it was Miles O'Keefe. Oh, yeah, it was Andy McDowell.
Andy McDowell had a Southern accent.
Yeah.
So they had to go through and fix it in ADR.
Well, have you ever watched Mad Max, the original Mad Max?
Yes.
With the dubbed? It's dubbed?
No.
Oh, that they released it dubbed. So they dubbed Mel Gibson so he wouldn't have an Australian accent. It's the funniest fucking thing. He talks like this. Hey, turkey. What a turkey. It's like the worst dub you've ever heard in your life. And then finally they stripped it out. And now you can enjoy the movie. But,
that's crazy.
And they think they did the same. They were going to do the same thing to Robert Carlyle in Train Spotting because he did that really heavy Scottish accent.
Oh, yeah.
But I think they put subtitles up or something for him.
I think
something
they might
crazy
have.
Like that. Yeah.
Train Spotting. I just watched the intro to Train Spotting. It's one of my favorite intros. How closely do you track your bank statements and credit card history? Are you combing through every single charge on a regular basis or just assuming everything's fine until you notice something weird? That's what I do. That's what I did. I don't have a lot of time to watch all my accounts that closely, but now that I'm using Rocket Money, it does all that for me. So I don't have to worry about any of that. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that finds and cancels your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings, and that is what all of us want. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has saved a total of $500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving their members up to $740 a year when using all of the app's features. And I'm telling you, you are going to want to use all of the app's features. The unwanted subscriptions was like the biggest thing for me. And just knowing the security that they're watching all my spending. Stop wasting money on things you don't use. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions by going to rocketmoney.com/Bertcast. That's rocketmoney.com/Bertcast. rocketmoney.com/Bertcast. And watch your savings grow. When I started podcasting, an online store was absolutely the furthest thing from my mind. And now, at this day, today, we're selling shirts, hoodies, koozies, and so much more. And it's so easy, all because we use Shopify. And I say we, it's really Leanne. Leanne's the first person that started using Shopify, and it is amazing. Shopify is the global commerce platform that helps you sell at every stage of your business, from the launch your online store stage to the first real life store stage, all the way to the did we just hit $1 million in order stage. Shopify is there to help you grow. Whether you're selling scented soaps or offering outdoor outfits, Shopify helps you sell everywhere, from their all-in-one e-commerce platform to their in-person POS system. Wherever, whatever you're selling, Shopify's got you covered. Here's my favorite thing. Shopify helps you turn browsers into buyers with the internet's best converting checkout, 36% better on average compared to other leading commerce platforms, and sell more with less effort thanks to Shopify's magic, your AI-powered all-star. Shopify powers 10% of all e-commerce in the U.S., and Shopify is the global force behind Allbirds, Rothy's, and Brooklinen, and millions of other entrepreneurs of every size across 175 countries. Plus, Shopify's award-winning help is there to support your success every step of the way, because businesses that grow with Shopify. Here's the thing that I love. They turn browsers into buyers. And if you get a buyer, and I know this from my experience, if I go on and I go to buy, I don't buy just one thing. I'm already there. I'm going to buy a couple things. That's what's amazing about Shopify, is that turning browsers into buyers is multiple sales. And that is what helps your business grow. That's why they're so great. Sign up for a $1 per month trial at shopify.com/Bertcast, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/Bertcast now to grow your business no matter what stage you're in. Shopify.com/Bertcast. What are your like, I don't know, I call it, like, for lack of better words, pepperoni pizza, liter of Diet Coke, and a blanket movie. Like, where you go, I'm going to watch this. Like Fletch, I could watch Fletch every single night, and I never get tired. I could watch Fight Club, I could watch Caddyshack. I could watch a couple movies I could just always watch. What are yours?
My Blues Brothers, definitely. Makes me so happy. I get choked up every time. Like that James Brown scene just fucking destroys me because it's so great and it's so much fun and it's so energetic and awesome. I love that. I mean, Napoleon Dynamite will always destroy me. Thriller I always have to watch is Breakdown with the Kurt Russell movie.
Which one's Breakdown? Pull up Breakdown.
Oh, it's the greatest. It's where he's like this city guy and they're going through the country.
Oh, Breakdown.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
With T.J. Wall. I forget who the bad guy was. It was T.J. Walls? No. But it was, it's just something. It's in that deliverance world, but the tension is really tight in that thing, and it just T.J. Walsh was the bad guy, and Kathleen Quinlan. Yeah.
Who are the directors that you were like, I can't wait to meet this guy, and then you met them and they lived up to everything?
Gosh, oh man, you stumped me with that one. Martin Freeman. Wait, am I thinking Martin Campbell? Martin Campbell. Because and another one of my favorite movies for that is Casino Royale, the first Daniel Craig one.
Yeah,
and Martin Campbell directed that. And I was doing a lot of interviews when I was getting ready to do Ghostbusters, and had talked about how much I loved that. And he called my office one day. He said, "Hey, I just want to say, I heard your interviews and I really appreciate it." And we were just talking for a long time about directing. I was just like, what a cool thing to do. What a cool dude.
I always shut down.
Yeah.
Yeah. I shut down. I was like,
well, I'm terrible if I meet a hero like at a party because I get really nervous and I
fuck it up so bad.
Oh God, I fucked it so bad. A couple of times. I've met Tom Ford, who's one of my heroes, at least 3 or 4 times now.
How does he smell?
Wonderful. And he looks like a work of art. It's crazy. Yeah. But I always come up to him. I do the same thing every time. He thinks I'm a lunatic. I always come up like, "Hi, Mr. Ford, I don't want to bother you. I know you're talking. I just want to say what a big fan I am. And I'm not going to bother you anymore, but just thank you for everything." And I go scurrying away. And it's like, she's like, what the fuck? Like, just like ask me a question or something. I did the same thing to Fran Lebowitz too at a party once. And she just stared at me like I was insane.
Yeah. What age do you think as a child that you establish your heroes in film and television? Like, what age is the most impressionable age?
I mean, it was really early for me. I was probably like 5 or 6.
Really?
Yeah, because I fell in love with the Marx Brothers and Three Stooges.
Duck Soup is the funniest fucking movie.
Oh my God, just the greatest.
It's the funniest movie.
And Horse Feathers too. Kills me.
They made a remake of Duck Soup with John Turturro.
Oh God!
Did you ever see this?
Yeah. Wait, what was that? I have a memory of that.
I think it was Duck Soup. Pull in John Turturro Duck Soup. We were in Aspen, and for like spring break, it was the biggest mistake we ever made. No chicks showed up. We thought it'd be filled with hot rich chicks. We were a bunch of kids from Tallahassee, and we went out and we were at Keith Hemstreet's loft. It was as big as a couch and 2 beds. It had a kitchen and a bathroom. That's it. And there were 9 dudes in there, and we got high and watched John Turturro in what is a remake of Duck Soup, ultimately.
That's hysterical.
And we cried. We cried laughing. And I think, know, what's so funny is when I got into comedy, there was a lot of movies I hadn't seen that people would say, like, have you seen It's a Wild, 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 Wild World?
Oh, yeah, Mad World.
Mad World.
Totally.
And then you see it and you're like,
yeah. Oh, I mean, just so much stuff in it. It's so great. You know, and all those movies kind of got trashed when they came out.
Really?
By critics and stuff. Yeah. Comedy generally doesn't do very well with the critics.
Yeah, it's because it's so subjective.
Yeah. Well, it's also, I don't quite understand it. Look, there's a lot of bad comedies out there. Let's just say it. I don't like to trash. I'm not trashing anything specific, but I watch them all the time. And sometimes it's like, oh shoot, I wish that was better. Especially when you see somebody is really funny in it.
What is the key to making? It's so hard. It's so hard to take. I don't mean to say it's easy, but it's easy to get on stage and be funny because it's such a ice skating moment where if you just stick the landing, everyone's fucking amazed.
Yeah.
If you can just simply speak eloquently on stage with a little bit of confidence, that's half the battle.
Yeah.
But translating funny from the paper to the film, is so difficult. What's the key? And then give me a miss that you've had and give me a win that you did not expect to have.
Oh, gosh. I mean, there's too many of those things to even summon one up. That's why I do shoot so much extra material because you're always going like, this is the one that's going to kill. And you put in the test screen and it's like, oh shit, that didn't. And then the one you kind of wrote off is the one that destroys, or the one that you shot, you go like, that's stupid. Let's not put that in, is the one that destroys. That's why I say the worst thing you could ever do making a comedy is just shoot the script, because then you don't have any alternatives. What happened? But what I think the biggest problem that happens in so many comedies, and it's happened to so many people I know who are funny, who, especially when they get their first kind of break or whatever, is giving them a story that nobody cares about. When this happened a while ago, like I think 20, 30 years ago, you'd see somebody for like Saturday Night Live or, who's so funny. And then they're stuck with this story and you're like, why are they in this story? I feel like it's just pulling them down and it's not giving them their natural, a way to shine. It's why the Carsey Warner people were so brilliant. They will take your personality from your stand-up and put it into a setting. The problem is TV can be low stakes. You can just have a half hour and it's like, oh, there's a little problem in the family, but they're going to deal with it their way. Movies have to have this big veneer in order to get people to come see them. It was just like a little relationship comedy. That's great for an indie, but you're not going to generally get people to come out unless there's some bigger concept or bigger stakes.
That's what made Tommy Boy so great.
Oh, God.
Tommy Boy's
what a great movie.
What a brilliant movie.
And my friend Pete Siegel directed that.
It's so great because it took everything you thought you already kind of knew about Chris Farley, like a sensitive, insecure guy, and it just accentuated it enough where you rooted him for him to be the hero.
Yeah, and that was coming on the tail of a lot of misfires I'd seen with other really funny people. And so when I saw that, I'm just going to Pete, like, you did it, man. You found a way to take the hilarity of Farley and make me care about him. You didn't stick him in some story where I'm like, he's got a gun, It was always like they always made him cops for a while. And sometimes that can be funny, but other times you're just like, oh, I don't want to watch that person with a gun.
Best trailer I ever saw was Jake Johnson and Damon Wayans Jr.'s trailer, Let's Be Cops.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Best trailer I've ever seen in my entire fucking life.
Yeah.
Best trailer in my entire life. Do you think about a trailer when you make a movie?
Yeah, it's definitely in the back of your mind. You're definitely, going back to early in our conversation talking about trailer moments, you definitely have things you go like, hey, this is a trailer shot. This is a trailer shot. Like you do kind of formulate it. Or it sometimes doesn't even happen until you're doing it and you're like, oh, man, that's going to be in the trailer.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, I could sit and talk. I want to be your friend.
You are my friend.
I know, but I want to be like, yo, next time you're having a gin and tonic, or next time
you're having we're kind of neighbors. I live. So,
really?
Yeah.
It's so funny. You picture what someone's life is like. I know people do it to me, and it's wildly inaccurate. I think people think I'm drunk all the time, but I was thinking about I had nothing to do today except for this interview. Usually my day starts at like 9 a.m.
Yeah.
It starts at Leanne wakes up at fucking 7. So it really starts at 7. And then I go on my phone and I scroll history documentaries.
There you go.
And then get on Instagram. And then I work out. I come over here. I walk over here. I usually get an IV. I get, we have a couple meetings and then podcast, reads. And it's so packed. And I don't think people think my days are like that. Today I was wondering what your life was like. And I was like, I wonder what his life is like. I was like, I bet he does Wordle. I bet he does.
I used to do Wordle. I stopped because I had, you know how it like tells your record or whatever?
Yeah.
I had that and I got a new phone and it erased my old one, all my stats, and it just made me go like, oh, I don't want to do it. So now I do a spelling bee. That's my obsession.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I do the mini crossword. I can't.
Oh, yeah.
I've once done the big crossword.
Monday and Tuesday, you can do it.
Are you a coffee guy?
Yeah, but I can only have decaf, but I do love decaf.
Really?
Yeah. I've got Tourette's, so if I have caffeine,
Like you have real Tourette's?
not like screaming, not screaming and yelling, but I have ticking,
And coffee will activate them?
Forget about it.
Oh.
I'm a ticking nightmare then.
Maybe I have Tourette's then. Because I get to a place where I say I'm humming, where I have so much coffee I'm humming.
Yeah.
And I also take these exogenous ketones that
Nice.
Rogan got me on. They kick your body into ketosis. They're fucking awesome. But,
Oh, wow.
And you need, if you have 2 a day, you are like,
Oh, really? Boy, I don't need that.
do you work out in the morning?
Yeah, I either do the swimming aerobics or I do a 4-mile walk.
Really?
Yeah.
Let's real quick talk. I want to talk about Jackpot.
Yeah.
It's a great fucking movie.
Thank you.
It's what I love about it is, I mean, I have notes, but
Everybody does.
I mean, but no, my only note was my only note. I can't say it here. I can't say it. I'll tell you later. But the cast you have is really fucking awesome.
Yeah.
The cast you have is really fucking awesome.
Yeah.
And the premise is really fucking awesome.
It's nuts. I mean, Rob Yescombe wrote this, and he comes from the video game world. And so that's how they think is kind of like it's a mission, something that has to keep moving forward with these different.
That does make sense.
It makes total sense because it's just the whole thing is just a total run.
It's like how would you describe your movie? I know how I would describe it, but I don't know if it's the right way.
It's a big fun dystopian comedy.
I would say, and you can edit this out if you don't want me to share too much, because I do like the idea that I did not know what I was expecting.
Oh, good.
It was like I've only happened to a couple times in movies where I didn't know. Karate Kid, I knew it was about karate, but I didn't know what I was expecting.
Right.
Footloose, I was like, are we watching a movie about dancing? But it is The Purge meets what's the movie that Mike Judge did with
Idiocracy?
Idiocracy.
Yeah,
It's The
totally.
Purge meets Idiocracy.
Yeah, with a bit of a Mad Mad World in there
with
too.
a bit of Mad World, but like, I mean, it really, honestly, what's beautiful about this movie, it is a comedy, but it's dressed up as an action movie.
Yeah.
And that's why initially I was like, it's got to be 75 million because you walked away with zero money in your pocket after making this movie.
Oh my God, no, totally. We went for it, and we were on a very short shoot. We were only a 40-day shoot, which
40 days?
Yeah.
Where did you shot in Hollywood?
Atlanta.
Yeah,
we made Atlanta look like Hollywood. It's amazing how much they look the same if you don't see landmarks, you know.
I think Rogan's going to love this movie.
Oh, good. I hope
Because it
so.
trashes Hollywood.
Yeah, oh my God, no. Totally. I mean, that audition scene alone is just like horrifying.
The audition scene, but we're not far off from the Los Angeles you represent.
I know, exactly. And so many people see this and go like, this feels like it could happen. I'm like, okay.
It does feel like it could fucking happen. Weird question. Do you ever, I'm not talking about Awkwafina and I'm not talking about John Cena. Do you ever look at ethnicities when you're casting and think, I should think progressive or I'm looking for the best actor?
Well, I want a movie to be representative because I always say if a movie doesn't look the way that the world around you looks, then it's failed.
Yeah.
But I also just want the funniest people. What happens though, if you throw the door open wide, you find the funniest people who are also diverse in everything, you know, so you get everything. I really, I don't know. I just really want it to look like our world.
When you make a movie, can you tell if it's going to be successful?
No. I mean, you always assume it's going to be the biggest movie of all time, you know, because why would you make it otherwise? But then, it's always, then you kind of prepare yourself for whatever's going to happen because, you know, you're usually, I don't say you're usually let down, but nothing can ever match what you want something to make. Even when it's a success, you're like, oh, but I thought it would be, you know.
Yeah.
All you do is look at other movies that did way better than you, and it's a shitty thing. It's you got to learn how to like enjoy your triumphs, and I've always been bad at that, you know, just because there's always somebody telling you that could have been bigger or better.
Yeah. What came out the week Bridesmaid came out? Do you remember?
Oh gosh.
Type in opening week Bridesmaid.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. I know we were I don't even think we were number one that weekend, but just we made more than they thought we were going to make. Because we were told that if we didn't make $20 million opening weekend, we would be considered a failure. And the projections that week were like going to be like 15 million. So then they did the night before, they did a midnight screening, and it didn't do well, which I was like, well, of course, it's a wedding movie. Why? Who's staying up till midnight to watch a wedding movie filled with, at the time, people nobody really knew. And so I got the call the next morning, like, it's 13 million. So everybody was just like, well, sorry, man, your movie bombed. And I was just walking around the house all day, like, death. And then, like, so I'd get like an update, later in the afternoon. Well, it's 15 million now. And then it'd be like, it's 17 million. And then Melissa McCarthy and her husband, Ben, came over for dinner. And as we were sitting there, they're like, it's 20 million, it's 21, it's 23, it's 24. We were like, get in the car. We went down to the ArcLight, the old ArcLight, and walked in, and this theater was completely packed and rocking and people laughing. And it was just like the greatest moment of my career, I got to say.
So opening weekend was Thor, Fast 5.
Oh, yeah, that's right. We lost to Thor. I remember that.
Thor.
Yeah, I know. Then I worked with Hemsworth, so there we go. So I got him back.
Fast 5. By the way, I think I always said, put me in like a Fast and Furious franchise.
Oh, you should totally be one of those.
And just put me in there for the rest of my life. I'll make one type of movie. Yeah. I'll never ask for anything else. When we made The Machine, I said to them, I was like, sign me up for 10 of them for a very low rate, and I'll make all 10 of them.
Yeah, totally.
I'll make all 10, and you don't have to pay me anything. I'll do this.
Be like the new Sandler, exactly.
Well, I don't know if I'm definitely not that.
I don't know. Don't sell yourself short, my friend.
The Insidious was that weekend.
Oh, the very
Source
first
Code
Insidious.
I saw.
Look at that. Medea's Happy Family. Jumping the Broom. I remember that.
I remember
Rio.
Jump the Broom.
Yeah, Rio. That was a cartoon.
Yeah.
Gosh, look at all that stuff we were up against. My God, I can't believe we came in second.
Scream 4? That's got to be the second week, I bet.
I would think, yeah. Oh, yeah. I see that's opening day. Oh man, this is a little trip through the past.
Gosh.
Wow.
How surprisingly funny is John Cena?
Oh my God.
He has 2 of my favorite lines in the movie. So is this going into theaters?
No, it's just on Amazon on streaming.
Really?
Yeah, which it plays great on the big screen, and we got our big premiere next week. We're doing all kinds of in-theater word of mouth screenings this week.
Where's your premiere?
At the Chinese. Oh, wow. I know. I mean, classic Hollywood. I'm thrilled.
So you go to Amazon. When is it out on Amazon?
On the 15th.
The 15th of August.
Next week. Yeah,
next week.
Next Thursday. Yeah,
that's great. And do you guys do you get numbers from Amazon, or do they?
I believe so. I mean, this is my first movie coming out on Amazon, but my last movie was for Netflix, and they were very.
What was your last movie on Netflix?
It was called The School for Good and Evil. It was more of an adaptation of this like kids book. I would say kids book, but it was a kind of a Harry Potter-esque thing. Yeah, I like experimenting with genres. And that one, I really liked the book that it was based on. It was a good chance to play with a lot of special effects, which I haven't done in the past. I tend not to do that. I like in-camera stuff, but this one seemed like kind of fun. I learned a ton from it. But what I love about Jackpot is this is all in-camera. I mean, other than a little bit of wire work that we paint out, there's no CG or anything in it.
Yeah, I saw a little bit of wire work.
Oh, yeah. There's some things that are just so ridiculous.
I was like, wow.
That's not going to happen in real life.
That's fucking awesome.
It's a little Three Stooges-y in a couple of places.
You get what's great is you have basically ultimately one of the best men in the world who knows how to use his body.
Oh my God, totally.
And it was so effective.
And my stunt team was amazing. James Young is the stunt coordinator, and he does all the Marvel stuff and Captain America, all that stuff. Yeah, so these guys are like thoroughbreds, but they never get to do comedy. And so we're Jackie Chan fanatics, and we were just like, oh my God, we got to make a Jackie Chan movie. And that's one of the reasons why the movie can be funny is because the one thing that Rob wrote in as the main rule of the lotto is no guns. You can't use guns. If there's gunplay in this, I don't think it would be as much fun.
Oh, no.
Not that I don't love John Wick, my God, but it's just a different movie because it's not comedic if people are just shooting at each other, I don't think.
It made it a lot more. It allowed it to play out.
Yeah.
Exactly. You're right. It would have been a very.
Yeah, I mean, I love Jackie Chan movies because Jackie Chan's always in over his head. He's not fighting like he's a badass. He's always like, get away from me, get away from me. So all the comedy is him using stuff to get rid of people. And that's, I knew for Awkwafina, who, has not done a lot of, big physical stunt movies. It would be perfect for her because all she has to do is be trying to get away from people. But then
it doesn't show.
Then she took it to the next level and was actually good at it.
Yeah. It was it's a great fucking movie. How busy does your I don't know, what do you call it, like your lineup of shit you got working on? Like do you have 2 projects you're working on? Do you have 10 projects you're working on?
Well, we're always developing a bunch, because you put a bunch of irons in the fire to see what takes off. But at the moment, like I came from the editing room and going back to the editing room right now on Simple Favor 2, which we're just getting ready for our next test screening. And I spent the last 6 months shooting that, and then I'm getting ready to do a Blumhouse movie next, so that's going to be really fun. So we're polishing that script right now. I try to stack them up. I mean, there's nothing I love more than just having stuff come out, one after another.
Any interest in getting back on stage?
Nah, not as a stand-up. No.
Could you?
I don't know if I could. My most recurring nightmare is getting up in front of an audience, like being booked at like Carnegie Hall, and like I don't have an act. Like, am I gonna fake my way through it? I'm walking out going like, okay, what was my bit from 30 years ago?
Do you remember any of your bits from 30 years ago?
Yeah, I do.
Give me one.
Oh God. Well, I mean,
give me one.
I did this thing. It was a character called Willard Schmidt, who was a woodshop teacher and wore these, really serious glasses, and he had no sense of humor. So reminds me of a humorous story. I was working in the wood shop, and one of my students was on the lathe. He was goofing around. I said, "Please stop goofing around." He continued to goof around, and he got his arm cut off. And that was it. I would just tell these horrible stories and just not react, but do it completely deadpan. And for some reason, it just destroyed every time. Yeah. And then my big closer was doing the Thurston Howell Blues. So any you young people, there was a show. Yes, I love it, I say. And I had a harmonica, and I would do this whole thing about the professor's. He's a genius. I forget. Oh God, I can't remember. But just all I remember, like he can build a coconut lie detector, but he can't build a goddamn raft. So that was a big line.
Well, buddy, this has been an absolute pleasure to sit down and talk to you.
Oh, it's a thrill. I'm such a fan, and it's an honor to be on. I didn't know
that. I actually, my first question as I'm driving over, I go, "Do you know who I am?" I was like, "Do you know anything about me?" Because I was like, "There's no way he knows who the fuck I am."
I play low key. I don't want to Tom Ford you,
dude. If my guy, are you familiar with James Purse?
Oh yeah.
We went to go see The Dead in Vegas, and James Purse has his 2 stores there. He's got James Purse, and he's got James Purse The Dead store.
Oh, really?
And he does Dead merch.
Oh, you're kidding? Oh, smart guy.
And it is the slickest fucking merch.
I bet.
And I did what you did to James Ford to his staff, and then they were like, "Well, we can text James for you," and I was like, Are you being serious? And he was like, they were like, "Would you like to have him on your podcast?" And I was like, I don't know what I'd talk to him about. Like, I'm wearing James Purse right now. I love James
You'd
Purse.
be like Farley doing that interview thing. You remember when you did that? That was cool.
You should watch. I'm going to send you me interviewing Adam Sandler. It is the worst interview you've ever seen.
Fantastic.
It is me saying, I think my first question is, "Do you have Netflix?" and it went. I called his new movie Precious Gems. I then said I loved Happy Madison,
right?
And I watched it with my girls the other. I mean,
but Adam's a nice guy.
Adam's a nice guy. Yeah. I think Spade hit me up and was like, "You just did Farley interviewing Paul McCartney to Adam Sandler."
Oh my God, that's hilarious.
Yeah, I didn't let him talk. I don't let people talk often. I think people are going to be shocked how much you talk on this podcast. Yeah. But thank you very much for doing this podcast. And like I said, anytime, anything you ever have to promote, or anytime you want to just come over and just have a glass of gin.
Love it.
I would love that. I'm
going to make you a martini. I'm going to make you a real martini.
I will. I'm putting this in the freezer right now.
Nice.
And it'll be sitting in the freezer, and I will put martini glasses in the freezer anytime.
There you go.
Anytime. I'm a fan, and it is an absolute honor. You have. I mean, I don't think, I don't hope it. I know that compliments sometimes when you're in this business a while, they land and you're like, "No, thanks." But I can't tell you, you've made me laugh out loud in movie theaters, on my couch, and on my treadmill last night. And so you are fucking awesome, and it's a pleasure to get to interview.
Well, thank you, Bert. I truly appreciate it. You're the greatest.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This episode was brought to you by The Machine.